Hey everybody, it's Doc here with another weekly haul video. Guys, can you believe I've been doing this for 73 weeks straight? That blows my mind. It's almost been 2 years. We're working towards year number 2, wrapping it up. That'll come next January. So about a year and a half in, I'm still loving this each and every week. I'm still loving getting to share what I pick up at the shop with you guys. And hopefully you guys enjoy my reviews of these books and my thoughts on how these books fit into what I've been reading, as well as whether you would like them based on my recommendations. So anyway, it's a shorter week this week, so let's go ahead and dig in to these books. All right, so this is going to be for the initial assessment video that I'm going to do, but this is Endless Night. It's issue 1 from Mad Cave, and let's see who did it. Mark London is the writer, Tom Derenick is the artist, and Juancho Velez is the colorist, and letters by Simon Boland. So you're introduced to a city named Exit City, and you get to see all of these characters here. Some of them good, some of them bad, and we will talk about it in more depth, but I will say that I really did enjoy this first issue. So let's go ahead and move on to the second book. All right. We unfortunately have come to the finale of Jump Scare, but I will say that it landed pretty solidly by Cullen Bunn, Danny Luckert, and Jim Campbell. This is the finale. We get to see Jump Scare working with her former villain turned cohort, Grindhouse, and she is captured by these pretty much the sons of the Leviathan, and so they are hung up on the idea of bringing the Leviathans back to life. And they're going to use the life energy from Jump Scare and some of these other characters, including her sister, in order to bring the Leviathans back. And the thing about it is you get a lot of character development in this particular issue. You get to see so much more of Jump Scare and who she is and why I fell in love with the character in the first place. She loves horror movies. She uses the weapons from these horror movies. Anything that she can remember, any movie that she has seen over the years, then she's able to conjure a weapon. So she uses fake movies, of course. But for example, if she wanted to use Jason's machete from one of the Friday the 13th movies, or if she wanted to, let's say that Michael Myers had used a hatchet on somebody or something like that in one of the Halloween movies. It's kind of like Green Lantern. The ability to choose your weapon is only based on the limits of your imagination and what you can conjure. That's why for years there was a running joke about, are we ever going to see a boxing glove in Green Lantern? And finally you did see one of the GLs use a boxing glove, and partially based on that comment, based on the fact that, look, just give the people what they want, get a little comedic activity here, and then move on from it. But Jump Scare is going to save her sister. She's determined that she's going to save her sister no matter what. And her sister is so proud of Allie. She's proud of who she is and who she's become. And at the end, you don't really see what is coming. You see the sister is safe and you see her parents, and I'm not going to spoil the last page for you, but they want to know more about this adventure, or misadventure, however you want to say it. And the reason behind it you just sit there and shake your head. You're like, what? Did they learn nothing? Did they learn absolutely nothing from this? Because like I said, you get to see this character in such better light. You know, she uses a car from a movie that was called Blood and Oil Don't Mix. And it's Brisbane's Massacre Machine. So that's how she ends up breaking out of the prison cell that she has and runs over one of these Leviathans, sons of Leviathans. So it's like a more serious take on Scary Movie, where you get a lot of callbacks and a lot of throwbacks to movies that you know and love, but at the same time, you get to learn so much more about Allie and the character of Jump Scare that I hate to see this series end. So here's to hoping that we are going to get Volume 2 very, very soon. And I would have to say that this is not the book of the week, but it is right there at number 2. So we'll get to the book of the week here in just a minute. All right. We have The Walking Dead Deluxe issue 114. This is the continuation by Robert Kirkman, Charlie Adlard, and colorist Dave McCaig. And as I'm going through these books, I had been collecting them and then kind of just flipping through them. But once we got to the introduction of Negan in issue 100, I've started actually rereading these issues each and every 2 weeks. And it's wild. The imagination of Kirkman and how much life and vitality Negan's introduction brought back into the series. I've spoken on it in other videos before, but originally Robert Kirkman was going to end the series in the mid-'80s issues. And instead, he, kind of got an idea for Negan and said, you know what, I'm going to keep with this series and see where Negan goes. And I'm really glad that he did. After the upcoming all-out war that's coming up, the series kind of lost its way again and meandered, in my opinion, all the way to the end. But from issue 100 all the way through 125, the end of All Out War, which is, like I said, issue 115, the first issue of that is coming in 2 weeks. But to see this and to relive this in color is absolutely amazing. And I have to be careful which pages I show you, because Negan likes his profanity and he likes to use Lucille to, attack people and really do some damage. So I have to be careful what pages I show you. But if you didn't read this series, and I feel like I say this every 2 weeks when a new issue comes out, but if you didn't read this in the initial run, you should be picking this book up. It's a lot of fun. It's in my opinion, last phase of really being an amazing book. He stuck the landing, but how he got there and the last, I would say, 4 years worth of getting there really was just world building, in my opinion, to nothing. It didn't go anywhere, because you see the Commonwealth, you see all of these characters, you get to see Princess, and yet at the end of the day, the way that the series ended was kind of like a time jump. If you haven't read the last issue way back when, in like 2017 when the series ended, I'm not going to spoil it for you here, but it just seemed like everything was all for naught. There was a lot of fun at the end because you got issue 194, 195, and 196 solicited, but they were never intended to come out. He stopped at 193, and that was just another one of Robert Kirkman's gotchas. So, but I've got to say, I was absolutely surprised because the last issue was supersized and, 3 times the size of a normal issue, but it's still the same price. So Kirkman could have easily gouged us all, but instead he gave us a supersized story for the same price that finished off everything neatly. Anyway, about this issue, like I said, you got King Ezekiel, you've got the build-up for all-out war. What more do you need? This is the book of the week. The Moon Is Following Us, issue 10 of 10, by Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rossmo, and Mike Spicer. You've got Sam. Duncan is not in the book very much, but you get Sam and Penny, her daughter. And Sam is determined that she's going to save Penny. And instead, Penny saves her. And it's a really, this panel right here, I'm not going to lie, this panel right here, she says, "You've got to let me go." And you just think that you know where this is going to go after that. You're just like, after 9 issues of Sam and Duncan just going through villains after villains after villains, all of these nightmares that were in Penny's head, in Penny's dreams, you get to this point and now she has to let go. It's kind of like May's book by Jeff Lemire. That last issue of May's book really, really got me. It was one of those tearjerkers, because at the end you get to see that character get what he wants, but at the same time he has to let it go. And sometimes that is a real heartbreaking thing. Now, that's not how this actually ends, and in it, Penny ends up saving everybody. Well, except for that one guy that messed over Sam and Duncan in the beginning by saying that he could save their daughter and he couldn't. That guy gets what he deserved. Even though he was doing it for altruistic reasons himself, he gets what was coming to him. So, a very satisfying conclusion. Absolutely heartbreaking in the end. But it is a self-contained story, so I don't know that we'll get volume 2, because the only thing that I can really say about this, it's the same interpretation as Taken. Okay, if Brian Mills is as good as he says he is, why in the hell is there a Taken 2 and a Taken 3? And possibly, eventually, a Taken 4, with Liam Neeson, driving around on a scooter or a golf cart because he's not able to, do all that running anymore. But if Brian Mills was that good, then how can you have a Taken 2, much less a Taken 3? So when you get a story like this, where else can you go with it if you bring it back? And Daniel Warren Johnson is not one to really do sequels to his miniseries. He tells the story that he wants to tell the first time around, tells it in damn fine fashion, just like he did in this issue. And you don't really have to revisit it. Sometimes there are things worth revisiting, and then sometimes when you see the end, that needs to be the end of the characters. And I really feel like they put a bow on this, wrapped it up, gave it to us, and said, here is the finale. This is the end of these characters. This is the story that you wanted us to tell. And this is no more. No more. These characters will continue to live on in your imagination as they live on in our creator imaginations. But they will not continue on here in this plane and in this particular form of graphic entertainment. But The Moon Is Following Us from issue 1 all the way through issue 10 was an excellent series. The Daniel Warren Johnson parts, as well as the parts that Riley Rossmo penciled and inked. I see now why Daniel Warren Johnson said after issue 24 he's done with Transformers, because he wants to kind of take a break, because writing stories such as this really takes it out of you, because you have to be coming from a very personal place in order to tell a tale like this. So the love between Sam and Penny, the fall of Duncan and his redemption, the love of his daughter for both mother and father, it's refreshing, but at the same time, like I said, I can absolutely tell that this was a draining thing to write, much less do a little bit of the penciling, as well as working on Transformers, which, anybody from this particular generation working on the G1 Transformers characters, that is stressful enough as it is. And Larry Hama, I'm sure Larry Hama, working on G.I. Joe, even after all the years that he's been on that title, I'm sure that not only is it a thrill to work on that title for him, to continue to create for the people out here that love these stories, but it's also somewhat daunting, because even though he knows those characters inside and out, then at the end of the day, how do you follow up each and every month with not only something that the readers love, but something that you yourself are excited about? There's been times as a photographer that I haven't done what I consider to my best work. And in doing so, I wasn't willing to sell the photos to the clients for any cost, because I had that level of professionalism in my mind that I said, if I don't like what I did, then I don't need to show it to the world, because it's not the very best. This, on the other hand, is the very best, from Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rossmo, and Mike Spicer. And last but definitely not least, we have Amazing Spider-Man issue 5 by Joe Kelly, Pepe Larraz. And here you get to see the ascension, pretty much, of the Hobgoblin, who is taking on Peter, who is still somewhat getting over the effects of the spiked cola that he had drank, and the kind of mental disabilities that Itsy Bitsy got Peter to in that mental state. But at the same time, you get to see his friendship with his friend Brian, who is actually giving him a job, giving him a place to go, and in the end, Spidey triumphs, as he is supposed to do. I really wish that, for whatever reason, Nick Lowe, Zeb Wells, whoever it was that decided at the end of the last run of ASM, or not at the end, but the entire 60-some-odd issues, 70 issues, was that Peter wasn't supposed to win. The heroes aren't always supposed to win without cost, but they're supposed to win some sort of small victory. It's kind of like we used to say in the car business, make somebody feel like they've won. Don't beat them up over the price. Don't beat them up over the vehicle. Don't beat them up over the fact that, hey, this is really what you want. I see that you're looking at that over there, but that's not what you want. You want this. Instead, listen to the customer, find out what they want, give them a win, and if you give them a win, they'll keep coming back. This issue felt like a win for fans that want to see Peter win. I get the old Parker luck. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you just keep knocking somebody down as a character and knocking them down over and over and over again, where's the fun in that after a while? Half of the enjoyment is seeing these characters rise above, seeing them take on superhuman flaws and take on superhuman jobs that you or I would falter underneath. Just the weight of, I've got to protect everybody in New York City. I've got to protect everybody, Laughably. I got to protect everybody in Memphis, Tennessee? You know, there's that meme that I've seen, and it's Superman drinking in a bar in the middle of the day. And it says, Memphis? Nah, I'm not going there. You know? But all kidding aside, just the enormity of what they do day in and day out. There's got to be some levity. There's got to be, humanism, but it's not always destruction. There's got to be healing with that. Now, as far as the artwork, and I haven't really talked very much about the artwork in any of these titles, but the energy that Pepe Larraz brings to this title, and the emotion, and the layout of the panels, just feed your eye from keep moving, just keep moving, just keep going across the page. And then you get payoffs like this where Spidey just lets loose on the Hobgoblin. Meanwhile, the Hobgoblin gets a taste of his own medicine there with, some spiders that aren't really there. I really hope that Joe Kelly and Pepe Larraz stay on this title for a long time. I know that we're getting John Romita Jr. back next issue. Yes. I've been waiting on JR to come back. But at the end of the day, you get Hellgate, which is a new villain. So we've already got kind of the redemption arc for the Hobgoblin here, but now we get to see who this Hellgate character is. And John Jr. has created him, with Joe Kelly and designed him. So it's great to see John get the opportunity to draw him as well. So anyway, guys, that was what I picked up at the shop. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you're enjoying the channel. And we're back to comics now. Thank you for all your thoughts, well wishes for my wife. I do appreciate that. She appreciates that as well. And she has threatened me with death if I make any more videos about, any hospital trips for myself or anybody else. So, sorry. If the cat goes to the vet, we're not going to get any updates on that. But all kidding aside, guys, thank you for that. I do appreciate that, and so does she. It's nice to see her home. It's nice to have her home. And it's nice to get back to talking about comics, which we all know and we all love. So thanks for joining me, guys. I've got some more videos coming up, and we will catch you guys next go-around. Be good, take care of each other, and we'll see you then.